Mushy Mashy Monday! Mushy Mashy Monday! Are you ready for Mushy Mashy Monday, my Destiny family? How are you doing, guys? Mushy Mashy Monday in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another Monday live. And of course, I said Mushy Mashy Monday only because today we actually are using different for the first time I do not have one topic to talk about. So I call it Mushy Mashy Monday because actually we'll be talking on three topics. So that's why it's Mushy Mashy Monday. Of course, I don't know if there is such a terminology, but as you know, anything goes, anything goes. Just making myself a bit more comfortable. And so here we go. So, three topics of interest that I'll be talking about, not for long. I just saw them in the news of interest, and so I'm going to talk about them. One is recently in the UK, there was trialed a 4-day work week. So that's one thing we're going to talk about. There is something known as the Etias visa, and in Jamaica, the Southern Coastal Highway 2023. So here we go. So quite recently, it was in the news that 61 countries in the UK actually trialed a 4-day week for a period of time. I think it was for 6 months. And after the 6 months, of the 61, I think it was 56 of them said that they would continue using it. So, what I'm going to look at, we're going to see, okay, who would this benefit for? How would it work if that was actually to become, a law for Britain to move into this 4-day week? Okay, first I should say, look, some of you probably were not aware of it, but this 4-day week is nothing new to Britain. In some profession, mainly in the healthcare profession, some people actually work for a 4-day week. However, to make up for it, those days are what we call long days. So you see, like the normal work day that would go, say, for example, for 9 to 5, which is like a 8-day per hour week. Instead, with the long days, I think people start like at 8 in the morning and finish at 8:30 in the night. So you can see that ultimately, if you look at it, it is still a full day, it's a full week's job, it's a full-time job. All that happens is that instead of spreading the hours across 5 days, it is instead spread across 4 days. Now, some people said that it's good, they enjoyed it like that. But just to say that, look, if it should ever become a law, then of course it would not be um anything new, because already in some sectors, like I have said, the healthcare sectors, mainly the health, I know that the yes, in the healthcare assistants, some of them actually work long days, 4 days per week. Okay. Now, what I want to do is to look at it to say, okay, if this was to be something right across the board, who would benefit? What would it look like? Would that suit every situation? So if you look at it, if things were to change to like a 4-day week, then of course you realize that a lot of discussions would have to take place. Now, I can understand, for example, if it's like a service job, if it's like an office job where people are usually on the computers and actually taking phone calls. You can see where definitely that could work in that you could actually stagger things a bit. But if you were to take into consideration, for example, manufacturing, anything to do with production, perhaps it might not be ideal. When you look at the school situation as well, for teachers, what would that mean? Would that mean longer teaching hours per day? Would that mean, so for example, in some college situations, you actually start at 8:30 in the mornings and you finish at 5:30. So when you look at that, if you were to work that into a 4-day week, then what you would find is that people would be teaching long hours, perhaps up to 9 o'clock in the day to fit everything in. So when you look at it, the practicality of it, when it comes on to, the different sectors, perhaps it would not be ideal for everybody. And on top of that, a lot of questions would have to be asked as well. Okay, if it's 4 days per week, does that mean that you still get the same amount of pay? Or does that mean that you would be paid the equivalent to 4 days, 4 days per week, 4 days work? Because when you look into it, okay, the trial that was done, it's like the trial, you can understand it was a trial. So people were willing to take part of it because they were guaranteed that they would be paid the same amount of money. Whilst a lot of employees actually were happy for it because they said that they felt happier. And in those companies, what they found was that the staff turnover for the 6 month trial period was really, really low. So people were actually happy about it. But in the real world, because that was a trial, when you look into it, if you should move that into something that is more permanent, you have to consider, how would it work? Would that means that the employer would be getting less work per week? Does that mean that the employee might feel stretched over the 4 days per week? And so sometimes they may call in sick, because if you look into it, say for example, if it was to be like 4 consecutive days, really long hours, then you can see where, there could be a problem. So I'm happy that they said that that was a trial. It is just something where, of course, it opens conversation where people can now talk about it. But you would agree that if they were to consider this, then of course a lot of discussions would have to take place. And I'm sure that a lot of people would be willing to take up the offer if they could be guaranteed that, their pay would not cut as a result of them working 4 days per week instead of 5 days per week. So that, would be interesting to see exactly how that goes. So that's it for the 4 day per week. Watch this space. Let's see how things would work out. Let's see if Britain goes full fledged into a 4 day work week in the future. Let's see if other countries would follow. Let's see if production would actually, fall as a result of the 4 day work week instead of the 5 day work week, especially in our case, in the case of Britain, the economy is very fragile at the moment. So, it would be interesting to see if that is something that the government would actually introduce in the near future. So, let's wait and see how that one goes. Okay. The next one is the Etias visa. I hope I'm saying it correctly. I did look up the pronunciation. It did say Etias, Etias. So when you're finished, you can actually look it up as well to see if, I was saying it correctly. So, Britain, Brexit took place, right? Brexit meant that the UK after a while will no longer be counted as a part of the European Union. As a result of that, what will happen is that no longer will there be free movement across Europe. Because first time, what used to happen is that there used to be free movement where people from England could actually go to different countries in the EU and they did not need like a visa or any special, pre-arrangements to be made. Now, with Brexit, what happens is that there is now an introduction of something that is known as the ETS visa. Now, the ETS visa is something that the UK citizens will actually need to welcome to the live football. I'm seeing your name, your football. Where do you live? Actually, this video is taking place in the UK. Okay, guys, so let us go back to the ETS visa. So because of Brexit, what has been introduced is that when the UK citizens want to travel to the rest of the Europe, they will need to apply for what is known as the ETS visa. Now, the ETS visa is not expensive. It costs £6 and it will last you for, let me see, 3 years. So you can use that visa for 3 years or till your passport has expired. Each time when you want to go to the EU countries, each visit you can stay for to 90 days. So ETS visa, 90 days. That is not saying that you cannot stay in any other EU country for longer than 90 days. If you actually want to stay in any of the other European countries for more than 90 days, then you cannot apply, or the ETS visa will not be enough. You'll have to apply for what is known as the Schengen visa. So it's Schenquen, Schengen visa. That will enable you to stay in other European countries for more than the 90 days. So we're talking about the ETS visa at the moment because it was meant to originally, the plan was for it to for this to come into force in November of this year, 2023. However, there has been a delay, thankfully. So until the delay is until 2024, there has not been any specific date given in 2024, but just to say that they have delayed the start of the ETS visa that the UK citizens would require to travel to the rest of the EU countries until 2024. So that is good news. Another good news that I have come across is the Jamaica Southern Coastal Highway 2023. So I was reading that actually there is a highway that is currently being built in Jamaica, and it's the Jamaica Southern Coastal Highway. From what I can see, it says that the government is anticipating that substantial works will be completed by March of 2023 on the first two tranches of the Southern Coastal Highway Improvement Program, which will total approximately $11.5 billion. So this is really, really good news, for people traveling to Jamaica. This is good news for Jamaica and especially the southern coast because it is fast becoming the hotspot for tourism as well. So any improvement in the road conditions will be very good for the citizens of Jamaica and for tourists who wish to visit that destination as well. So, like I've said, this is a quick one. Remember, we call it mushy mashy because there was not like a set topic. I just wanted to come in quickly and to bring you up to speed with what is happening in the news. Don't forget, I should also say that in the near future, a medical doctor will actually be visiting us, my Destiny family, and he will be addressing topics to do with men's health. So, men, look out for that because I know that that is something as a family we take care of each other. And of course, this channel is to inform and we educate each other as well. Enjoy the rest of your week. And if you have not yet subscribed, my family, I say subscribe. Thank you. Enjoy the rest of the week. Take care of yourselves, my Destiny family. Bye. Bye. Bye.